All right, everybody, welcome. We are doing a mentor session with Todd Ferguson here in AO, or Accelerated Organization. So my name is Todd Ferguson. My wife and I run an e-commerce business as well as a 3PL or a third-party logistics warehouse where we store people's product for them and then drip feed it into various websites or direct to consumer. So we've got some questions here we're going to try to knock out real quick. Hopefully this helps you guys as you are on your entrepreneurial journey. So the first question here is from Rohit, and Rohit asks, how do I deal with a sibling in business? So business description and background of question. It says, I'm having an issue with my brother in getting work done. It's like he depends on me, what depends on me what has to be done, and I've told him to write out your task. Seems like he's got an employee mindset and needs to be told what to do. He's the CEO of the company. I can't be the CEO because my credit's not good in case I ever need funding. I can't baby him, watch over him when I've got my own things to do. I've talked to him before about this, and things have changed back to normal. I'm worried that when the store comes, he'll put in work without me being there or making his own decisions. I can't let him hold me back from doing the things I want to do in my life. So, Rohit, business with family is never easy in my experience. There's always different dynamics that seem to happen, and it just it's one of those things that when you start out, you guys, what has worked for us anyway is having very clear and concise roles, duties, and making sure that each individual person, whether they're in the family or not, sticks to their roles, responsibilities, just like you would at a normal business. And so one thing I would really encourage you guys to do is, if you haven't done it yet, is to create your organizational chart and really identify the roles and responsibilities for each person in your business, and make sure that each person knows exactly what the roles and responsibilities are, how it impacts everybody on the team, and having those times where you guys get together. A couple of things that just really jump out at me here is, you say that your brother is the CEO of the company, and from what I gather, it seems like just because he has better credit than you, that would be something I would definitely look at potentially. Just because your credit is not where it needs to be, that can be repaired, that can be built, that can be improved, and thinking ahead for funding is fine. But if that's the only reason that he is the CEO versus you, then that might not be a valid reason, just because of the credit. If you really are the person that started the business, the person that runs the day-to-day operations, as far as making financial decisions, as far as operations and overseeing the entirety of your business, then you might want to look at you being the CEO and putting your brother in a different role. But the easiest way and the best way to really help combat this, there's always going to be, not always, but generally when you're in a family, you see each other outside of business, but then you only talk about business, it seems like. And I know this from experience because I've been in business when my wife and I work together. And then I've also been in business with my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. And so there's just different dynamics, but really identify the roles, identify who is in that role, identify the task and the things that role will do, and then just make sure that that's being done. So hopefully that helps, Rohit. All right, question number 2 comes from Eric. Eric asks, what are the ways that we can have our team members earn our/my trust in the field to focus on work and not take advantage of time? I feel like team members will take advantage working independently when not watched. So business description and background of question says, we're in the business of giving people their homes back from the invasions of rats. Our team members execute the process in the field individually with a schedule. I've been told by 2 team members in the past that we don't trust our team members because we've had trackers in the vehicles. I've questioned them on time management. I've seen them stop at their home, grab food in between accounts, pick up pets, etc., all on time in our company vehicle. So thanks for the question, Eric. Just a couple thoughts here. And this is, again, these are my opinions and just my thoughts and things that just kind of popped out. you know, you ask what are ways that you can get your team members to earn your trust. That would be something I would ask them. You know, if you're doing one-on-ones, if you're doing performance reviews, if you're doing, you know, we do L10 meetings based on traction. If you do anything like that, that would be a time to ask them what is missing with the trust aspect as far as them earning, I guess. Anyway, there's just a trust issue with, let me read this again, sorry. So you're basically saying that the team members don't think that you trust them out in the field. So I just ask them, you know, figure out why they don't trust you, figure out why you have, you know, what their feelings are around that. And, you know, you talk about you put trackers in the vehicle. I mean, that's very explainable. You know, they're company vehicles. You have to track them for insurance reasons, whatever that is. But you point out a couple of things here, and just stuff that we've learned is, you know, most of us that are in our entrepreneurial journey, or we have our own business, we come from a corporate background, and so we learn the corporate way, or we learn the way that large corporations or even big businesses do business. And so that's, you know, that's the way that we often go into business, thinking that we have to do X, Y, and Z because this company or this business did it. And oftentimes that's not necessarily, from what I found, the optimal way to run a small business. And so, you know, for us, I struggle too with the same things, you know, time management, our team being efficient, making sure that we're not wasting time. But, you know, when we, as owners and as managers and as CEOs or whatever, you know, you are in your business, are constantly just pointing out, you know, we're wasting time, we're doing this. Yes, we want to be efficient. Yes, we want to be as profitable as we can. But one of the things that I found people like is flexibility. And so, you know, things you talk about, you know, they stopped at their home. Well, for me, if they're stopping at their home because they forgot something, or they need to pick up a change of clothes because their kid has softball practice after work and they're going straight there, or maybe they want to grab food at home, you know, as long as it doesn't interfere with the actual, you know, if they're not at home for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you're paying them by the hour, then that, you know, that would be something just to talk to them about. But if it doesn't really interrupt your business and you're giving them a little flexibility, that's what people want nowadays. You know, picking up their pets, I don't know about that, but if they're grabbing food between counts or between their appointments, they happen to stop by home. If they pull over to the side of the road because they're on their cell phone, you know, that's the kind of stuff that we want people to do when they're in a company vehicle. But I would just talk to them. And, you know, people are looking for a company that cares. They're looking for managers that care. They're looking for a little bit of flexibility. And for me, you know, if you can determine your profitability, and if people are getting their jobs done, and, you know, you're not behind, and it's not habitual repeat offenders to where somebody, you know, clearly is stealing an hour a day just by not working, that would be a different thing to discuss. But if they're taking 10 minutes out of a Tuesday because they forgot something and they want to swing by their house and it's not 45 minutes out of the way, to me, it's not a big deal, but just personally. And so I've just learned, when I was a district manager for American Eagle before I owned my own business. And so I was very strict. I was pretty much, not a nice person. I was a good manager, but I was very rigid and by the rules. And I started that in my business, and I learned very quickly that is not, for me, the best way to run a team. It's not a best way to show that you care. It's not a best way to get the buy-in from your team. And so I would just encourage you just to really identify those challenges, really rate them and see, are they really impacting your business, or is it something that you just want to control? And so that's how I would do it. May not be the right answer, but that's just what has worked for us. And Eric, I mean, I know you, so if you want to discuss this a little bit further, get some more feedback, then feel free just to reach out. But I know Sean will give this to other mentors, and they'll have some advice or some best practices or experience shares with that. So hope that helps, Eric. All right, next question comes from Dylan. It says, what is or are the first steps I need in order to start my business? So business description, background, a question. I want to start a business for leather work gloves. The difference with mine is that the stitching will be on the outside and not on the inside. I got this idea from the auto racing industry. Having the stitching on the outside makes the glove significantly more comfortable, allows the users to have a better feel when wearing the gloves. At this point, it's only an idea. I don't have any experience in creating a business, so my question is, how do I even get started? I apologize if it's a generic question, but that's what he's got. So, all right, well, Dylan, not a generic question. It's actually a good question, and so you're thinking of starting a business, and I think there's steps to go with that. But as you point out, what you have right now is just an idea, and so there are proper ways to start a business and structure a business and make sure you're setting that up in the right way. But right now, you really have an idea, and in my opinion, what would work best, or the way I would structure it or go, would be you have to make sure that that idea can actually become a product and that people want it. And so you need to do market research. You need to identify what's called your avatar, or the person or people that are going to buy your product. So if you're doing a leather glove, like what type of industry are you going into? Are you looking for construction people? Are you looking for cowboys? Or ranchers? Are you looking for welders? Are you looking for gardeners? Are you looking landscapers? Who are you targeting? What is your ideal customer? What kind of job do they have? What age are they? How much money do they make? Is this a premium glove? What kind of marketing do you need? What kind of, there's so many things to start off with. And so rushing into figuring out, what kind of business, or how to start a business, you really need to prove your concept or prove your product and prove that people want it. So we, generally we all, when most of us have an idea, we think it's amazing and it's great. And sometimes it is, but oftentimes when we get feedback or do focus groups or present it to other people, we find out that maybe people don't want it. Maybe it's not what we thought it was going to be. Maybe it's too expensive, whatever it is. But I think it's really just getting out there. So I don't know if you have prototypes made. I don't know if you have what your background is, but if you could come up with 6 or 8 or 10 different prototypes, spend a couple $100, figure out, get different colors, different sizes, and then really just go out and start talking to people that would use this. Maybe you talk about racing, so maybe they are for motorcycle racing or auto racing or whatever. So maybe make a list of any person that would potentially wear this glove, any industry is not the right word, but any occupation that would wear this glove. Make a list of everybody that could potentially wear this, and then start finding those people, talking to them, showing them the glove, letting them wear it. Hey, I wear this for a day. Give me your feedback, and then you can start to figure out, hey, how much you guys pay for this? What's it worth? Then you have an idea of what people are willing to pay. Then you got to figure out your manufacturing cost or your cost landed or whatever, however you're going to purchase these things. And then you start working on your business model. But you really need to prove your concept first, in my opinion, before you dive into whether if it needs to be an S Corp or, what type of LLC, or if you're partnering with somebody else, or if you're getting an investor or whatever it is. There's so many things before that. But I do think that it's great that you started off thinking, how do I structure my business, or what are the first steps I need to do? But proof of concept for me would be the very first thing, and then you can get rolling. And then that would be a good thing to, once you start doing this, you're going to come up with more questions. You're going to come up with things that you maybe didn't know. You're going to get feedback from people. You're not going to know how to process that or what to do with it. And then those become other questions that you can ask mentors, and you're going to get more feedback from 5 or 6 other mentors as well. And then you have all of this data from people that you've given the gloves to, and then you have all this experience share from mentors, and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh man, this thing's going to work. Here's what I need to do next. Here's the steps, and then you do have a real business. So, all right, last question comes from Robin. Robin asks, how much should I charge for a print that costs $7 plus the time to create the original? Business description and background of question: art for calm. I want to keep my prices down to sell quantity. I wonder if I'm selling myself short because I'm not charging enough. Thoughts? Thanks so much. I often find that most people, when you're talking about pricing and things like this, they already know the answer to the question they're asking. They're just oftentimes afraid to admit it, or need validation, I guess would be the right word. You just asked, you wonder if you're selling yourself short because I'm not charging enough. And Robin, just personal experience. I've seen your work. I think it's amazing. Everybody that I've ever been with that has seen your work at the same time, they all have rave reviews. And so I know you brought some stuff to the winter social, spring social, and I was actually shocked at how cheap it was, because I know they look like photos. Like you do great work, and so for you, it's just a confidence thing, being comfortable in front of people, talking about your art, why you create it, and so you really, if you're struggling with, if it costs you $7, so let's say it's your canvas and then your pencils or watercolor or whatever you're using, so it costs you $7 to do it. You also have to factor in your time, right? Because your time is your biggest asset. Otherwise, you're just you should just be working a job if you're just going to get paid a small amount of money for the hours that you put in. And so putting an amount of time on your job, and I understand that an original is not as valuable as a print. But, I was in Vegas. I don't know. This was, I guess, in February or March. And we walked into this gallery, and there's this photographer, and this guy is just amazing. I don't know the guy's name, but he's charging like $25,000, $30,000 for the reprints. But, they're limited edition. But there's this whole, I don't know, 6,000 or 8,000 square foot storefront just for this photographer. And so people find value in that. But I would venture to guess that when he's in front of people, he's very charismatic. He loves his work. He loves talking about it. There's this presence about him. And, that would be one thing that I would encourage you to work on, is your self-confidence. But as far as you charging, so if you, let's just say, you got to factor in your time, and I understand you want to keep your prices down to sell quantity. But at some point, if it's too cheap, people are going to think something's wrong with it or not even find value in it themselves. And so there's that weird spot. But, and maybe it's just you figure out that all 8x10s are this, unless they're limited edition, unless they're signed, unless they're, they're numbered. And then I don't even know what the next size would be, 11x14, and then the next 16x20. So you would just, make a standard price. So then whenever you have 16 things out there, it's just like, hey, all the 8x10s are $49.95. And then all the 16x20s are $74.99. So as far as helping figure it out, I could do that with you if we figure out how much time it costs you and everything else, or it takes you. But really just finding a standardized thing. I think it's great that that it costs you $7, so that's a good starting point. But then figuring out, what is your time worth? Are you worth $50 an hour? Are you worth $100 an hour? Are you worth $150 an hour? Are you worth $500 an hour? And so really then just figuring out your time, how much time it takes you to market, to set up, not just your production of your piece, but all the other things that you do. So, but again, Robin, just work on your self-confidence and the way you connect with people and the way you talk about your art. And then that will provide them with that just sense that you love what you do, because we know you do, and you do great work. And so then it's just how you communicate that with your potential buyers. So guys, that's all we have for today. So thanks for your questions. Keep them coming. And other than that, guys, it is gorgeous outside. Hopefully you guys get a chance to get some sunshine. I'm telling you what, when I get outside and just sit in the calm, there are so many ideas and so many different things that I'm able to kind of figure out and get out of my head. And it's just done me wonders. So hopefully you guys have an opportunity to do that as well. And you guys have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, whenever it is. Thanks, guys.